Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone.
All right.
It's Wednesday, and we are here for Baseline Truth with my man, Mr. Philip Townsend. We're going to be talking about the schools, the district, the programs in San Antonio. We're going to be talking about the Noble Elite Camp and what that meant, what it proved, and that's where we're gonna head. And a few San Antonio guys came up there, and we're going to speak specifically on the traits that they demonstrated. And so some of these guys are climbing, some of them are solidifying, but everybody's on the move. How you been, Mr. Phil?
Been great. Been great. Could be a little bit better, but I'm still happy. Still happy.
Hey, that's all that matters, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, man, I tell you what, I think that we had a very good year here in the San Antonio area when we're talking about the region. We've dominated the region, continue to dominate the region. Um, so let's kind of kick it off right here, man. When you look at San Antonio basketball as a whole, what are your first thoughts as we move into this?
Kev, I will tell you, my first thought is going to be improvement, right?
Hmm.
I think we got a chance to see that when they went up, north and out east before the season started and stuff and came back, feeling a little good about themselves. And I think that carried on, throughout the year. It would be great if we saw a lot more of that type of thing. San
Hmm.
Antonio, going and taking on challenge. Because look, the North is alive and well.
Yeah,
look, look,
yeah,
12 out of 12 on the state
yeah,
championship road. But I got to tell you, man, look at here. San Antonio showed well. I mean, we had a couple teams right there playing in the championship game. Um, just,
yeah.
I mean, really awesome.
I think that when we reflect back on this year, I think we're going to see that it was more of a year of program depth for different programs than it was for star power. I mean, it's going to be hard pressed to get another
Kingston.
lottery pick.
Yeah,
You
another Kingston.
Go ahead.
No, but I was going to say, Kev, that is such an important thing that you just pointed out, and about the depth thing. If you can remember, that's what I said about Little Elm, what we got a chance to see when
Hmm.
they played, right? But it just shows you with good depth and and look, guys ready to go all out, what you can do. I mean, the blueprint's already there to where you can
Yeah,
win the championship. You
yeah.
don't have to have the star players to do it. Yeah.
Well, I think that you start looking at like programs with depth. You had, and we're gonna run through a few of them, but it was Judson, and they had a lot of senior leadership. That was a build, a build, a build.
Right.
Um, you have our favorite Veterans Memorial, you know, um, and I mean now, DJ Jordan has committed to Ottawa, and I know that
Oh, did he
uh,
now? All right.
yes, that was recent, and Zidane and Jamaica are getting a little bit more attention, and that's because of another deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, um, I think with Brennan, you got to see the depth when Kingston graduates. He and Cam Calgill graduate, go to college, and then they're right back into the mix.
Yeah. But can I say something about that, Cav?
Mhm.
Because I heard someone else say, well, yeah, but they got to the championship game and look what they did. We're talking 12
Mhm.
points in the first half. Hold it,
Mhm.
hold it. they played the game the right way. They ran their sets. They had their shots, open shots. They just weren't falling. What
Mm-hmm.
happened in the second half? The shots started falling. They outscored in the third and the fourth quarter. They
Mm-hmm.
outscored North Crawley. It was just that the deficit was so great. That 21-point deficit from the first half was so great
Mm-hmm.
for them, too great for them to overcome. But
Yeah.
so let's not act like the moment was too big
Mm-hmm.
for them.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. Um, some other programs with depth, you think would be a Alamo Heights. Their continuing program. Bernie Champion. They're going to be around for a while. Um, Wagner's always been there, and it's just happened to be a weird kind of year for them.
Yeah, you really had them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that turned out to be the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talking about programs, it's going to be interesting because Piper moves up to 6A, and so that's going to be, in my opinion, a difficult transition.
Yeah.
But
I enjoyed
we'll have to
seeing
see.
Piper play this year. We got a chance to go to their gym
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times.
Yeah, and they've got some guys that made big strides. They had seniors that had good years. None bigger than
Mason Thomas. Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see who can reload.
What about
Harlan? That's what I was just about to say. Harlan, they lose a couple of senior leaders in the sense of Jazakri and oh man, I forget that young man's name. The quarterback that comes over, man, he was such a defensive stalwart for them. And but you got Armani Francis, you got London coming back, you got Jordan Mangum, and they have an impressive group of rising sophomores. That the world of varsity hasn't necessarily seen yet. So it's gonna be interesting, man. And one thing, we'll talk about later on when we talk about the Noble. But I'm just gonna say right now, and we'll say it again later on. Armani Francis at the Noble Elite Camp put on a performance. He really did, man. Yeah.
I would expect nothing less. That's my guy.
Oh yeah, that is your guy. And I was trying to find the video footage.
Yeah.
But there was a 7'3" guy, Mateo Rico, from out of Houston, by way of New Wave Academy. Amani dunked on that kid bad, and then went back for another one, and they fouled the crap out of him. But yeah, man, like he played explosive, and we just need to start extending those things, because Jay Fry made the comment that was the best he had ever seen him play. So that's very exciting / encouraging. But the biggest excitement of it all, man, is he's been in the doghouse 2 days in a row. He and Trey Crump.
Oh, really?
And,
right.
Yeah. And we talk about it ain't for everybody.
Right.
And we've opened up an opportunity for some people. And these two guys step forward, and they are going to be fit to have senior years that are off the charts, man.
All right. I'm looking forward to that.
When people say San Antonio basketball is underrated, overrated, I don't know how you feel about it, but you think people are just saying that because it sounds good, or do you think we're finding some truth behind it?
About the overrated?
whichever
Okay.
whichever way it goes. And
Yeah.
I just think we're on like a steady incline.
Well, see,
And
I think that the most, for the most part, what I hear is San Antonio doesn't have anything, right?
hmm
But if if you've gone out and seen the play, then you know it's on an ascending track.
hmm
Uh, so that's undeniable. So, and then if you look, if if you just if you just watch instead of stop this, everything's Houston, Dallas, right?
hmm
And just open your eyes up, you'll see that San Antonio has the ability to compete. Now, what they need to do again is like I feel, is that it gets into needing to interact more with,
hmm
say, like the teams north 35. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
uh, get a little bit more of that action going, get a little bit more familiarity, and it also gives you the greatest ability to see where you're at.
hmm Yeah. And I think that one thing that's been revealed this year, um, when you start peeling back the layers, is I'm gonna pull up this graph and all right. So when we start talking about San Antonio basketball and what people don't want to say out loud, okay? We talked about vets, we talked about Heights, we talked about the Judson School District. You can put in the Steel, the Clemens teams, the Bernie Champions. One thing those guys all have in common is on this chart right here. And you know what? It's the things that don't get put on Twitter or talked about social media wise because it's not cool. But they all guarded, they rotated, they cut, they communicated, they made simple reads. And we'll talk about that again later on in the show. But they competed every position. That traveled. And
Right.
that's why those teams that thrive on these components keep making deep playoff runs.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder if part of that, I believe, is because they have, for the most part, career coaches that want to excel, that are still years left in the tank, while some of these coaches have taken to the I'm here and I'm going to chill. And that's a bad place to be, man. And
Yeah. But you know what um, we got a chance to see all year long, Kev,
mhm,
was disciplined play, right?
mhm,
Uh, and not only disciplined play, but we got to see disciplined young men, right?
yes,
I mean, it was amazing to go to the games and um, to see that you didn't have someone being all boisterous and bombastic and everything with the crowds and the other players and stuff. And the one incident that we did see of anything, you called it out, where a player went
mhm,
and said, "Hey, no, we're not doing that." Logan
yeah,
Gonzalez,
Logan,
uh,
yeah,
showing that leadership. So, but it's just good to be able to see that. And Cab, before we get into this too deep and we get too remiss, want to thank all the school districts that allowed us to come into your gym and get a front row seat to some really great basketball. We appreciate all the athletic directors and just the district as a whole for allowing us into your homes. Thank you.
yes. Thank you very much, and to the coaches and players, families. Uh, the same shout out, thank you. But Phil, you was right on that. And so now I want to give another guy his flowers, uh, Isaiah Ward, uh, to in the last 24 hours has committed to University of Texas El Paso.
All
Uh,
right.
so yeah, really excited for him. You know,
He won't be the only
yeah,
one there.
no, he'll have a couple of friends for life already there. Uh, but in talking with a little bit with his trainer Felix, uh, you know, if you ever look back, Isaiah never had anything to say publicly about the situation. He just closed the book and went back in the gym, and that takes a lot of intestinal fortitude with the level of disappointment. And I'm just sky high excited for him. He's been one of my favorite people. Just his attitude, his nature, his personality. So I'm very excited for him and stay in the gym. But but yeah, man. And so I wanted to kind of talk towards the Noble Elite Camp, um, because what I feel like. So let's just name it off. There were kids from the DFW. There was kids from Houston, San Antonio, West Texas, Arizona, and Oklahoma. And 87-ish. And man, we did everything from uh, combine style, NBA combine style to teaching, to training, to game playing. Um, and man, it was another time that I can say I was in the gym with some high level athletes and there wasn't a jerk there. You know,
Yeah.
it's very refreshing,
All
very
right.
refreshing. But one thing I need to say, and I want to make an end point here, but Jacob Padilla, man, people in that camp were heartbroken for your injury. A lot of them wanted to see you compete that day, but man, you have one of the highest levels of respect from every coach, every parent, every organizational director that was there, because I can tell you at least 5 to 6 times I personally was asked and talked about and discussed, and just how much of a dog you really are, and just how they hope you have a speedy recovery, man. And God
Yeah, for
bless,
sure.
and yeah. So now I say all that to say what I realized when being there, every district has players, every city has players, but not every city has the same development habits, exposure pathways, or basketball ecosystem, and that really matters. And so I think that when opportunities arise, because there will be others that arise for these elite camps, when we say camps don't fix confusion, right? But the right camps with the right people in place, I mean, I don't honk our horn a whole heck of a lot. I should do more. But at that camp, you had NBA style combine, you had an NBA champion, an NBA director of player development, who's now the Noble Player Director of Development. You had 18 assistant coaches, a piece of it. So you had in every group 3 to 4 coaches watching, evaluating, coaching, pointing out, and it was all focused on details, man. Details. Just let me tell you how intense the details work was. So Terrell Harris was Tyrese Maxey's development coach,
Uh-huh.
right? Player development coach. So he brought out one section of his uh, uh, Maxey's preparation for the Boston a game with the Celtics, right? And it was complete with, and it was all about the pick and roll. and how they were going to attack it,
Yeah.
how the Celtics would attack him, how people that have been successful, like Donovan Mitchell, how he attacked it, then the adjustments. And man, we sat there and we broke down that components on when to take the shot, when not to take the shot, when to drive, to complete detail. So the station work after that was all pinpointed on things that had been discussed and trained. And there's the attention to detail work, man. And I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying I had never seen anything like it. And what was beautiful to hear in there was they were talking about guards getting over screens. And they were saying, you know, if someone tells you, oh man, I got bumped, all that, he said, it don't flipping matter.
Right.
At the end of the day, did you get over the screen or did you not?
Yeah.
Can you do it or not? If you can't, I need someone else.
Sure.
And so that eliminates all those wavery conversations that we have. Let's just say we have with parents who want to give excuses. And that's why we're not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not. You can give me one excuse, two excuses. I'm done. I'm not interested in conversating anymore because I'm too busy trying to find the next one, you know. And so we're gonna cover some more things and we'll come back, but we'll flash up the book here in a little bit, and people need to get on and order it or find me in the city, and we have some books on hand. But man, I took books to a meeting and sold out.
Awesome.
I went down there this weekend and people were asking about the books they downloaded or purchased. And the best thing about it is once we can talk the same language, once you have the book in hand and we talked about it, it's cheaper than a Happy Meal, you know, then we can have a real conversations. And the best thing about the Noble Elite Camp, beyond it being just another camp, was the level of participation. Okay, when I'm telling you, all right, I'm just going to tell you the bigs, right? There was 7'3", there was 3 6'10s, 3 6'9s, and 2 6'8s. That's not even counting the 6'5 to 6'8 wings.
Right.
You know, and we were there. The several high major junior college coaches were there, and then there were several Southland Conference, American Conference that were there, prep schools from other states. And man, it was just a basketball feast buffet from 9 to 6 and 9 to 4 those 2 days. You know, it was a beautiful thing. And what's funny,
also it was there at a great price.
Oh yes, $225 for 2 days of instruction. And guess what? These were the same 6 key points that they were talking about at the event, because and I have a video to explain it, but a lot of people are trying to teach kids 5 to 6 step combo moves, and it's not a move, it's sizing the guy up, where in real life you got 0 to 1 second to shoot the ball, 1 to 2 dribbles to decide if you're gonna be attacking or passing the ball. I think in the heyday, I think Pop said he tried to have it down to a half a second when the Spurs were rocking and rolling. You know, and so that was a key emphasis point, man. And you don't get that at your conventional AAU practice.
Yeah.
You don't get that at, at a high school practice. Very rarely, you know. But I think the biggest thing that made players look comfortable in that setting, from the ones that were still trying to perform, is the guys that looked comfortable. They were in their element. They weren't worried about. There was a confidence. There was a air of confidence because of the work that they had put in and the conditioning that they had put in. And that was another thing, man.
Yeah.
Those guys were in elite conditioning at that camp.
Well, Kev, they understand you got to stay ready to keep them
Yeah,
getting ready.
yeah, you're right, man. And I think whenever you attend a camp like the Noble Elite Camp and you perform, and we'll just because of folks close to home right now, we'll say you perform like Armani did in a setting where they can't hide, you know, that tells you right there that they're on a different expectation within themselves. You know, they know what they want. And they we talked about it off air.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull anybody out. But
Mhm.
there were some guys ducking smoke,
Yeah.
you know, and that's fine because you may think we don't know it, but people know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate you, the Bustamante family, and we're gonna keep working and appreciate your comments and being blessed. You know, it's funny because you know Jordan Bustamante down there in Vela, and then we've been working with and talking with Nick Zarate from Brownsville Jubilee. Uh, Seen him around, and that's another guy that really went out and performed really well this weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, he's about 6'8" now.
Well, you know,
And,
Kev, the thing about it, like you mentioned about Amani and all, and going down there and really doing his thing and stuff, you know, and then talk about the people that were ducking, and maybe
yeah,
more than one time before.
yeah,
But the thing is that, like you said, people notice, but people notice when you do what Amani does, and guess what?
yeah,
It travels. It doesn't
yeah,
stay there in the building.
yeah,
That's a lot of good eyes that got a chance to see, and it travels.
yeah. And you know what else, man? It had to really encourage Monty because when you got a guy the stature of Jay Fry coming over and saying, you know, A, this is the best I've seen you play. B, you need to play like this all the time. You know, because guys got to understand, you know, this is not something that you can turn on and turn off. And so I want to speak on a few more guys, and then we'll start kind of wrapping up the show.
Okay.
But you know, Aric Powell, for a doghouse kid that
Awesome.
over at Cole High School, you know, man, one thing, he and Kanan Brown both came up, and they're both undersized guards. But one thing they both did was they both attacked their matchup. Um, Aric stayed a little bit longer because Kanan had to leave for AU practice, but on Sunday afternoon. But man, Aric really got to his spots. You know, he got in the paint, he scored. He took the shots he was supposed to take, whether he went in or not.
Right.
Um,
That's so
you know,
key.
and oh yeah, and that's where Mason Sloan, 2029 from Piper High School, you know, another undersized guard, but he attacked the paint. But the thing he was doing, man, is every time he got the open shot, he took it. The shot from the offense, he took it. And that's something that I think people don't understand, that if whether you're confident or not, if you don't take the shot the shot that the offense was designed to get, then you just messed up the offense.
Messed that up.
And so that's a rough situation. You know, we spoke on Armani, but Justin McBryde from Sotomayor was a little bit of a surprise to me there because I didn't talk to him about going. I'm glad he did, but I don't know that we actually spoke. But man, I think he's put on about 10 to 12 pounds of muscle. And I talked to his dad, and his dad said they finally got his nutrition right. You know, he's adding weight, but he's adding confidence. And man, he shot the ball really well. But you know what I liked most about it? Terrell Jackson, you know, I love him from Carter. They're 6'10", and Justin had it matched up in the low block, 8 to 10 feet out.
Yeah.
And man, he contested him, fought him, and forced Red into a bad shot. But like he was, I don't want to say like he doesn't compete, but I mean that was like one of those bam, bam, big moments, you know.
Right.
Shit, we know where Red is. I mean, he we first met him with the Team USA. You know, that's the level he's at. And then I'm gonna close it out with Mac Martin from Austin Westlake.
Yeah, you like Mac Martin?
Man, I love me some Mac Martin.
Uh-huh.
He came in.
Mac, he talks about you. So
Yeah.
this isn't just now.
Nah. He shot the ball really well Saturday,
Yeah.
and then he had to run down on Sunday with his team. They were working out in the Dallas DFW Adidas circuit, and it's Southern Assault is who Mac's playing with. So Armani, Sun Jinkle, and Marcus Spears are with Drop Nation. And then I don't want to speak out on anyone else because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you have something you want to say?
Well, no, I just want to say how you're dropping that knowledge tonight, and ladies and gentlemen, that's why he is Kevin Howell, the one-eyed scout.
And just so you know, Phil and I are we're very excited for Langston University, a friend of the program, Coach Wright, and Coach Wright. We just want to celebrate you and Langston making it to the national championship game. You know, came up short, but I'm gonna hand it over to Phil for a second.
Yeah, you know, Kev, that's the thing. First, let me shout out the Lady Lions of Langston University. I mean, back-to-back Sooner Athletic Conference champions and all. And like you said, we know what Coach Wright has done there over the past half dozen plus years. Just great. I mean, it's a situation where we never want him to leave. And, you know, being there and watching the championship game yesterday, it was, it was a little heartbreaking that the Lions didn't prevail, but it was just great because, that's our second time of being in the championship game in 3 years. Unfortunately, we lost to the same team, school, both times, but it was a hard-fought contest, and I know that Coach Wright, he'll have the team back there real soon. Great coach.
Yeah.
I mean, just a great coach, and the knowledge that he drops is just incredible. But let me say this, Coach Wright, I'm going to see you. I wasn't able to get there because of health issues this year to in person see the Lions play, but you have to let me know what you're doing to keep them so disciplined that they say nothing, zero, nada to the refs about anything that they may disagree with. So I love the way you have them playing and the character that you are instilling in them. Shout out Eric Harris. But just great, great to see the players playing and performing the way they did, and just proud of you all. Go Lions!
Go Lions. You know, so um, I've been fielding questions, not just here in San Antonio, but broadly at the event, and so I want to address one or two of them right here. Um, you know, I think guys need to be focused on more development, but they need to be more focused on seeking honest feedback and quit taking it as a personal attack, but more of a critique, and get to work on it, because um, that's the only way you're going to get better. And I would rather tell a family, athlete, the truth that might hurt their feelings a little bit. Uh, but you got to remember, like, you see, true champions seek feedback and fixing the issue. And those kids, players, call them kids, players, like to be coached hard, and those are the ones that coaches are looking for. And I think as far as players still misunderstanding the recruiting, and this goes hand in hand with parents and athletes, is the portal season has pushed back the real recruiting season. You're going to find that the top 5%, that may be a stretch. You're going to find top players getting their offers and signed in the spring, in November, right? And then you're going to find some guys that pick up opportunities along the way. And then you're going to find a big stretch of time where it's going to feel like everybody fell off the face of earth unless you're in the portal. And then it's going to go JUCO, it's going to go prep school, and then high school. So what used to be a freak out time in May is now that's going to be where the 26s probably are in their sweet spot, April and May. So you're going to have to give us some grace. And I would really suggest, again, taking a look at the screen and take a picture of the QR code, because it will relieve a tremendous amount of stress for yourself and stress that you're inadvertently putting on to your child. So the next wave is not going to belong to the kids that are most hyped, because what I'm seeing is the kids that are most hyped aren't always the best players. They're just the ones that are getting hyped. And there's different reasons behind that.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna go to the most clear, the most consistent, the most competitive. That's who's gonna survive the progress. Because it's not the loudest, not the most posted, not the most known, but the ones who are actually ready are the ones that are getting clear, consistent feedback with consistent efforts. Because at the end of all of this, it's still going to go back to a relationship game. And those relationships, all right, so if Phil and I have been, he's a coach and I'm a scout for 20 years feeding players, and all of a sudden the players that I'm feeding Phil are getting people fired, now guess what? Phil's not going to listen anymore. So that's where the relationships matter, when people have been consistently, and have relationships across the country, like we do with the One Eye Scout platform, like we do with the Doghouse, like we do with Noble. So, hey, I didn't mean to go on a diatribe, so to speak, but I just feel passionately about people getting good information. And for me and Mr. Philip Townsend, we appreciate you being here. Go have a good night. Get ready for March Madness tomorrow.
All right.